let's go.
What do we do with the problem that is Ollie Watkins?
Well, I'm glad that you're acknowledging that this is a problem, finally, because a couple of days ago you were annoyed at me. I'll let out a little bit of our group chat. Rich and I got into a bit of a heated debate on in our group chat on WhatsApp because I was having a go at Watkins, and Rich was talking about how well he had led the line against City and against Spurs, and Rich's basic argument, if I understand it correctly, is that obviously he's in poor form at the moment, but he doesn't think he's a bad player.
That's right. I don't think any Premier League player is shit. Let's just qualify that.
Yeah, I mean, but by that same metric,
yeah. No.
But I mean, but by that metric, you can never be annoyed at having anyone in your squad, which is a life that I cannot afford to live, Rich. I've got too much pent up anger I need to get out. No, look, Ollie Watkins, his form is disturbing for multiple reasons. He's got, I saw on X today, he's got 5 goals in 33 games, which is unconscionable. He has got 1 goal in 10 Premier League appearances this year. His first touch is horrible almost every time. He seems slower than he has before. But take everything else out. The man's not scoring. That's the first problem. And he doesn't look like he's going to. And that is a problem for us because all of our goals so far this season, our top scorer this season is Matty Cash. So I'm going to put that out there. And Ollie Watkins has obviously got 1 goal this season, but it's everything else. It's the way that he's playing. He seems like he's shying away from the ball. He's not down the middle where he should be anymore. He's not doing those runs in behind. He's not even like, this is the first time ever yesterday that I saw Morgan Rogers outrunning and out pressing Ollie Watkins, and he just kind of seems to be fading into the background. And one thing I will say is I am 100% confident that Ollie Watkins' form is not an attitude issue. This is that I feel like he's a genuine bloke, and I feel like he puts his all into it. I think there's a quality issue going on here, and this is what I've said for years and years and years. And his numbers are almost hard to argue with. They're kind of flatter to deceive, and it's like, you know. But I put some stats in our group chat the other day, and I was talking about, you know, how he's got 3 goals since April, and you know, 5 goals in 33 games. However you want to mince it up, and however much we love Ollie Watkins and the talisman that he's been and what he's given to the club, football is a ruthless business, right? And this is what I said when Jack Grealish left, and you know, when all these other players go, I'm like, why do we expect loyalty from players when we wouldn't give it, right? That's always been my mentality, because in my mind, Watkins not performing, you need to get rid of him. Get rid of him means either put him on the bench and bring someone else on, or sell him. But he's in a unique situation now because the club have mollycoddled him, and he doesn't like competition. Is every single striker that we've signed since he's been at the club is in the bin, and we now have no other strikers in our squad except for Ollie Watkins. And I said this before. I said this at the start of the season. What happens when Ollie Watkins does his normal out of form before he finds his purple patch and he scores 10 goals in 10 games? That padded stats for the whole season. What do we do until in that scenario? And this is what we're doing. We're relying on goals from other areas of the pitch. We are not scoring. For the first 4 games, we didn't score a goal. We had 2 shots on target. Like, all you have to do is look at the statistics. Is for the first 4 games, we didn't score any goals, and we had a handful of shots on target with him leading the line. He's just not the outlet. He can't hold up the ball and bring other players into play like he used to. He doesn't press like he used to. He's not as fast as he used to be. He's not as clinical as he used to be, and that's saying something, because he was a 1 in 5, 1 in 6 chance type of guy, and now it seems like he's got 5 goals in 33 games. So you do the ratio for me. It's just, everyone's going to think this is personal, and I never talk about him because
it's 1 in 6 games, let alone 1 in 5 or 6 chances.
Yeah, and this is the problem. Like when I talk about him, it seems like a bias. So it doesn't. It's not really worth anything. But at this point, we need options. The first thing we need to do in January is we need to buy a competitive striker. We need to buy someone who is, if you look at Marcus Rashford now at Barcelona, and he scored another goal today, a beautiful goal. One of the biggest things I think we're going to regret is not signing him for 40 million when we had the chance. If you'd have sold Ollie Watkins in the summer, maybe you'd have got 30 million for him. Could we have sold him and kept Rashford on at a 10 million pound loss? Could we have afforded to do that? There has to be a solution to this problem, because I'm not spending the next 5 years of my life having this same debate. Like something needs to change. He either needs to, buck up his ideas, or Villa needs to look elsewhere.
Anyway, he certainly needs to buck up his ideas. There's no denying that. Absolutely. And I absolutely take your point, and I'll bring Kevin on this, because it does seem like he's molding back to that older Ollie Watkins under the Steven Gerrard reign, before Unai Emery got a hold of him and said, do your work within the width of the penalty box. It seems like he's going into those left and right channels and basically doing anything he can to receive the ball, but not in front of goal, where he could have a shot or do something that is going to create an opportunity. Like it's almost like, when we say about midfielders hiding, Kevin, they kind of show for the ball, but they're not really showing for the ball. It's almost like Watkins is doing, well, I'm doing the running, I'm doing running in the channels, but he's not actually putting himself in the position to where the money making shot is. Like, he's not doing it. He's kind of moving around, he's skirting around the issue, and you can't have that. You've got to put your money where your mouth is, haven't you, and put yourself in the opportunity to score goals. I don't recall him getting in, the first 4 games, 2 shots on target for the whole team. There was a Sunderland one where he missed a sitter, but I don't recall him making many chances in that run. I don't recall him even making too many chances in this period of time when we've been getting the good results. So he does need to really, really sort himself out.
Yeah, it always used to be a thing with Watkins, didn't it? Where, particularly in those Dean Smith years, where we talked about it a lot, didn't we? About how he's like one of the hardest strikers to play against in the Premier League back in those days. And Van Dijk, we always used to struggle against him as an example. And that's because he's put himself about, using his physicality, running constantly, going into the channels and, holding the ball, bringing people into play. And clearly he was improving his finishing. And obviously he's got some pretty good goal output numbers and assist numbers in recent seasons. But he just doesn't look confident at all now in terms of the attacking parts of the game. So when a chance comes to him, you're not confident he's going to finish it. I mean, obviously he had a chance with a penalty this season, didn't he? And obviously his penalty record's been terrible. And just generally, I almost think that now that monkey's on his back. So then what else does he bring to the table? I think there's about a lot of things. You got to think about any kind of job. What do you bring? If you work in a sales business, are you a salesperson? Are you good with the finances? Are you a leader? Like, what's your thing? What do you do? Watkins right now, yeah, you know what? He did pretty well against City. But last night, I just felt like, well, I've got the stats for you if you want the stats. Didn't have a single shot, completely just 9 passes, made just 18 touches. So that's pretty stark, isn't it, in terms of the numbers?
In 75 minutes as well.
Yeah, 9 passes completed, 18 touches. What can you say to that? The problem is, and Sam's hit the nail on the head. I mean, whether we would have got Rashford or not, I'm convinced, Barca was his absolute top choice, and you can understand why. But your option's Marlon, and I think Marlon's got some ability. But at the moment, I don't think you'd lose anything by playing Marlon. I know we've played some games and Marlon's gone absolutely missing, but I think he's probably a bit more of an eye for a goal. Marlon's more likely to create something out of nothing. Let's just say that, drop the shoulder, get it on the outside and smash one in. Hasn't got the record in the Premier League that Watkins has got. We've got to give him the credit for that. But I think other than that, we're in a situation where...
Well, it's almost a sense of, like Sam said there, just a bit of a kick up the backside. Just if you know you're not going to play it, if you know you're going to play every week, particularly Premier League games every single week, unless you're injured, well, what motivation have you got to keep performing? And then we talk about the dressing room reaction to a Emi Martinez. What about a dressing room reaction to to an Ollie Watkins. You know, if everyone else has got real high competition on their position, and then but he knows if he can put in a stinker every week, but they know he's going to play. He knows he's going to play. Then you're going to turn around and say that's not fair.
I just don't see a situation last season, when it happened with Rashford, that it seemed to make Watkins look like he was absolutely chomping a bit when he came on, and maybe that was a nerve, maybe that was an anxiety thing, but you'd like to think, wouldn't you, ideally right now, that the following would happen. I'm sure most of us would agree with the following, right? That in the next game, I'd love to see Barkley to get a start, by the way, just to throw one out. I think he's looked really bright and his performance, he looks strong, he looks fit, he looks like he's making stuff happen. Buendia has obviously been much improved this season. Whether Sancho comes in for Gesson, whether Marlon starts for Watkins, would any of us be upset if that was to happen? But the thing is, I don't know what difference it makes, because Watkins, you'd think, would have had his nose put out of joint by Rashford last season. Again, it's World Cup year. You think he would be absolutely the top of his form. I don't know. I said this at the time when we were struggling at the start of the season. Have we kind of these players reached their kind of peak, what they're going to produce at the Premier League? And players like Cash, to his credit, and McGinn, absolutely to his credit, have proven that actually there's still some life in them as top-end Premier League forces. But at some point, you are going to wane. And Watkins' numbers, obviously 23, 24, were really good. I know he had a purple patch last season, so he got his numbers up. But I don't know. At the moment, I can't see him scoring 10 goals. I mean, at the moment, you think
you said that in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, you think at the moment he struggled to score 7 or 8 based on how he's performing. Now, look, it wouldn't be the crazy thing if he's then scored 6 games in a row, right, and got his confidence up. And strikers, you hear any striker on media talk about this, you can get goals in patches. But just like for the team with their form, the first 3 or 4 games of the season, we couldn't buy a chance, let alone a goal. You hope it's going to turn.
But he'll do that.
I can't see it.
But Kev, that's the point. He will do it. He will go and score 6 goals in a row, and then everyone will be like, "Oh, see," and you're like, "Well, okay." But the point is, we've got 5 goals out of him in the last 33 games before that, and it's not just the goals. It's everything else. It's the no shots on target. It's us not having an outlet, us not having a replacement. Like Ollie Watkins is a human being, right? Like there's only so much he can do. I believe he's trying. I've said that. I don't think it's a lack of effort. I don't think his head was turned. That doesn't come across to me. He's lacking in confidence. He didn't seem particularly on form. But I've always said to him, there's a limit to his ability, right? There's a limit to he's a striker who can't score a penalty. For love nor money, he doesn't have that mettle to do that. He's not. There are loads of things that he's not great at. His first touch is historically really bad, and his accuracy had been clinical with his shooting has never been great. He's always needed more chances than not to get a goal. But the difference is in the past he's had loads of chances, and we've kind of been blessed with that kind of creativity. And maybe when Yuri Tielemans comes back, he'll get more. Yuri Tielemans seems to know and like the way that Ollie Watkins plays, so maybe there's a route in for him. But my biggest problem is not having an alternative. And a lot of people say, well, who do we sign then? Who do we sign? Well, I'll say what I said in our group chat last week. Ollie Watkins has got 5 goals in the last 33 games. Since August, Danny Welbeck's got 5. Mateta's got 6 or 7. Semenyo's got 6. Everyone's saying, oh, you're just expecting a 20-goal season striker. I'm talking about 20 goals a calendar year that Ollie Watkins can't hit.
Sam, I don't think anyone can argue with the 5 in 33. That stat, when I saw that stat today, like you can have, I'm on the Watkins train or I'm off the Watkins train, right? And we've talked about that on this pod numerous times. You get everyone's got their view. In the comments, it's obviously generally mixed. A few more maybe going towards maybe Watkins needs to go. But that stat, it's unambiguous how you assess that from a top-end Premier League striker. 5 in 33 is appalling in a team that were let's not forget as well, we were pushing for the Champions League spots at the back end of last season.
Yeah,
we were attacking teams, we were on the front foot. We'd have
been nowhere near it, by the way, if it wasn't for Rashford and Asensio. Like remember what we were doing pre-January before Rashford came in and scored and assisted 15, 16. Asensio came in and scored 8 in his first 10 games or whatever he did. Like Ollie Watkins was bailed out of jail there because the focus turned from him, and then he started giving it lemon about getting dropped. He started giving it lemon in Champions League. I mean, that's fine. I don't mind that because that's his prerogative to do it. But like, I keep mentioning, one name. Like, we talk about Mateta and what he's doing at Palace. Like, Mateta's not a pretty player to watch by any means, but he is hustling, bustling. He scores goals. He holds up the ball well. He's never going to do any step overs and drop you on your ass. But he's a man who's confident. B, he's a bit younger than Watkins, and C, he's got like an identity. I know what he's good at. He's good at getting in the 6-yard box. He's great at headers. He's great at holding up the ball, bringing other people into play. He's really intelligent. Gives defenders nightmares. Like, is Mateta a 20-goal a season striker? Probably not. But I know what you're getting from him, and he's consistent and he plays well, game after game, whether he scores or not. And he's always at least a 7 out of 10. Like, Watkins is either an 8 or 9, or he's a 1. Even if Mateta's on a 6 or a 6.5 at his worst, and he's not scoring, he's contributing to the game in other ways. And I just feel like, fine, don't sell Watkins, but would £40 million be enough to get Mateta?
Well,
Maybe?
the thing is, these big sort of ungainly nuisance strikers are back in. You look at it. Voltermeyer at Newcastle. I know he's good. I know he's got technical ability on the ball, but he's that type of striker's back in. Mateta. That's why I think Villa went for that Asula. Obviously he's very raw, but he's big. He's fast. He causes a problem. So these type of strikers are back in.
Chris Wood got 20 goals last season. Is he a flashy player? Does anyone love watching him play? No, but he got 20 goals.
Welbeck's a big unit. He's obviously got ability and everything like that. But these, like I say, these type of strikers are back in.